Hey guys, tonight was the 89th Annual Academy Awards, and it was insane. We just saw the most mind-blowing moment in Oscar history, and we're about to talk about it. I'm Sasha Pearl-Raver, and this is Screen Junkies News.
Today's episode of Screen Junkies News is brought to you by the Un-Carrier, introducing T-Mobile One. All unlimited, all in.
Okay, guys, we've seen a number of award shows, but with me to break down what will be probably the most memorable of all time.
The most talked about.
The most talked about. Roth Cornett and Andy Signor.
You're a Bachelor fan. They always say like the most dramatic rose ceremony ever.
No.
Like they do it. This is it.
This was the
most dramatic ever.
So at the very end of the show, if you had been watching along with us at Screen Junkies News, you saw our live reaction. La La Land.
We're going to show it to you in a minute. Yeah.
Yes, we will show you in a minute. Predicted to win one. Oh wait, no it didn't. Moonlight won. And here's what happened in this room when we saw it. Take a look.
What? Whoa.
What the happened? Okay. That was every level of emotion. There was shock. There was glee. We have to give so much credit to Jordan Horowitz, who is the producer of La La Land, who was like, we didn't win. It was Moonlight that won. That was crazy, Rob.
He, in the middle of his speech, had to stop and say, oh, no, we didn't win, by the way.
Well,
you know,
there was
and
somebody
step
who,
back.
There was, somebody who said, oh, but we didn't win, so it doesn't matter. I don't know that one. There was a first guy.
There was the first.
And then a second guy
salty.
sort of came in, and sort of like a boss, like that's got to be tough to do.
That's real producing.
You're holding the Oscar there, you've won it, and then,
Well, he came in and he like very graciously said, yeah, you're right. The first guy was the one that was like, FYI, we didn't win. And then Jordan came in and he very graciously was like, we are so happy to share this with Moonlight.
Well, and I think
we love this film.
Yeah.
Look, the Oscars did a big flub, but they clearly talked to them first, which was the classy way to do it. Guys, I don't know what to tell you, but you didn't win. And they could have just done it without even telling them and then gotten their reaction live on air, which they did sort of. But you know what I mean? It's clear they talked to the producers like, guys, we got to stop this. You didn't win. And then he was man enough to sort of do it.
Let's go to the beginning. So in the beginning, you've got Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway, who looked almost like she was sort of maneuvering Warren Beatty out onto the stage. Warren Beatty opens the envelope and he stands there not reading a name.
Okay, he looked
while.
very confused and you couldn't tell. And look, love Warren Beatty, love Faye Dunaway. These are Hollywood icons. They are older. They're in their 80s. And you couldn't tell if he literally couldn't read it at first. And then seemingly the way we have come to interpret it is like, hey, Faye, you do it. And then she saw La La Land and just said it.
Metaphorically throws her under the bus by being like, I'm not saying this out loud, and passes it over. Now, people are already like going crazy on the internet. If you look at the front of the envelope he was holding, it said actress in a leading role on the front of the envelope. Now, why would a presenter look at the front of the envelope? They probably don't need to, except in this case. But if you're Faye Dunaway, Andy, do you read the name?
Well, look, I actually do blame Warren Beatty because he did it. He had it, and he says later, oh, well, it was Best Actress, and it said Emma Stone. And then he clearly did it, and you can see in the clip when he watches it, it's like, and the award for Best Picture, he's like, doesn't know what to do. And then he's like, and then as a viewer, I was even saying like, oh,
why
quit messing around. Why are you doing this? This is not fun.
Bad bit,
like he was
bad bit.
trolling
Like he
them.
was doing a bad bit, and then he's sort of like, I don't know, and he clearly handed it to Faye Dunaway, who's like, enough, you took too long, and sees La La Land and goes, La La Land, and then everyone hears the cue and they move on. So I do think that's genuinely probably what happened.
And then he wanted to come out later and sort of explain what happened. And he said, look, I looked at it and it said Emma Stone, La La Land, and I was confused. I didn't know what to do. You know, anybody I think could have had a panicked moment. But I think the big question people are going to have is like, what happened?
Yes.
Who messed up?
How was there not more security on those envelopes to double check them before they went out?
Totally, but you know who did have a panicked moment? The stagehand who you see run out on stage while the producer is up on stage, like giving one of the first of 3 acceptance speeches that we saw before they were stopped. And we were watching and I was like, wait, Emma Stone is freaking out. Emma Stone, you can see in the background, is going, oh my God. And you can see everybody sort of like beginning to look around. There have been multiple reports that there are duplicates of everything. Like at first the thought was, did Emma Stone forget her envelope? No, she had it in her hand the entire time.
She did come out and say.
Yes.
Then there was a momentary joke about, was it Leonardo DiCaprio's fault? Was he getting back at the Oscars? Did he actually have the envelope?
The envelope in the hand.
That's the envelope.
No, she has now since come out. Emma Stone has now said
I had
I don't
the
want to stir up
envelope.
drama, but I had that envelope the whole time.
And the people who are in charge of the envelope say there are doubles of everything. We take different routes to get to the Oscars. Like, it's a high security thing. Why are there two and no one's checking either one of them?
Well, apparently it says Best Actress on it.
Right?
So, hello.
What's crazy is that it was probably just one moment. This is what I picture, right?
Yeah, what do you
because
picture?
I do think the Leo theory, by the way, is hilarious. But of course, it's not true, and he's got his Oscar. But I picture a moment back there where, you have those moments in production where in 1 second everything goes wrong, and it's like the water spills and it's fire and a cat falls from the ceiling. It's a dog, and you're like, holy. And someone just quickly went, here, Warren Beatty, and handed him the wrong envelope. And that poor PA or stagehand or someone is definitely going to get burned at the stake and fired.
This feels too big for a PA. Like, this should have been monitored by
someone
Ernst & Young, or whatever those big groups are.
producer.
That is, there's someone with the briefcase, and here's the envelope. Like, it's beyond me that there's multiple copies, and like, it's just not going to happen. But look, it clearly has happened. I give credit to that producer for stepping up and actually correcting it. And then it's weird. It's like this weird moment where I feel like everyone's sort of having the La La Land backlash, like, oh, La La Land. And then suddenly now it's completely like, no, I don't think anyone wanted that much. Maybe Spencer Gilbert. But I don't think anyone, no one deserves that. That is so terrible.
Although it is kind of in line with
awful.
what actually happens at the end of La La Land. But yeah, I think the reason also, there's some beautiful footage online of the Moonlight cast realizing that they've won and Barry Jenkins realizing that he's won. I'm talking about it and I'm getting the chills because for there to be a film about the Black LGBTQ community that wins Best Picture at the Oscars.
And it was a small film.
That is so meaningful.
Yeah.
And I said at the very start of the night, I was like, if there's an upset, I think this is the one to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful and happy, actually, that it did happen. And I think that's also why the La La Land producers were okay with maneuvering around it because it felt justified.
Sure, but I just hope this weird fake win doesn't then also try and permeate the news, because that would be very frustrating because that I don't want.
Well, the
Moonlight
producer held up the card. Like there is, I think we have an image of it.
Good directing too on the show's.
Yeah, it's like
we gotta,
hey guys, like, and it says Best Picture at the bottom. Like, there is no doubt, like, that's the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think two things. One, he held up the card for that reason, so there would be, listen, they won. Here it is. There's no question about this. Two, that is going to be memed like a mofo.
Oh, it's already happening.
Like, that meme is already going.
They're going to Photoshop what's on that card.
I already got one that said Beyonce lemonade. I already got that.
I do believe that it should have been the thing. Hillary Clinton. But in a year where everything that you like thought was going to happen, I mean, the Super Bowl, the election, Beyonce,
it's been
and
shock
Adele.
after shock. But it's, here's the thing about this, though. Two things. I think you're right, Andy. Like, it is heartbreaking to think that these people, whatever movie you were rooting for, thought that they won for 30 seconds, thought that they won Best Picture, and then it was taken away. I so applaud them for handling that so graciously, because both movies are lovely. But with Moonlight, to me, Moonlight was the one that I also thought could be an upset. It's my favorite movie of the year. I adore that movie. And my hope is that people will walk away from this, and both La La Land and Moonlight, there will be so much attention on it that now both films will get that much more attention. And two, not only is that ending like the ending of La La Land where you're like, it's the happy ending. No, it's not. It's actually really, Barry Jenkins' story is like La La Land's story. This is a man who was struggling, who kept submitting film after film after film to festival every year. He volunteered at film festivals. He fought and fought and fought. And now he is having this amazing moment. And frankly, in some weird magical way, it's even capped off that much more by getting so much more attention on his film now than it even would have before.
Oh, I love that so much, Roth. Well, I guess the question now, I mean, people are still going to want to figure out, like, what happened.
Right.
But how do they fix it? Like, how does this not happen? How do we not Steve Harvey again?
I mean, you have a person who's dedicated to the envelopes. I feel like that's always sort of how they sell it, of the people with the briefcase who are the only ones who know, like, where were they? Like, why? How did an envelope get out? That wasn't the one who's like, here's the Best Picture envelope. I see it going to the presenter. They're walking on stage. I've done my job. Like, it seems like that's what you do. You hire one more person who's in this cone of silence to follow through on making sure each envelope goes to the right person.
Yeah.
You'd think.
Do you think they're going to come out with a big story tomorrow of saying, like, this is what happened, people? This is exactly what happened.
They're gonna have to.
They have to, because at this point, like, it is the number one thing that is being talked about. The one tweet that I saw that I was like, wait, what is this? Apparently a stagehand was running right backstage right after it happened going, oh God, oh no, they have the wrong envelope, which means that there is a lower level person behind the scenes at the Oscars who knows besides the Ernst & Young
Unless that person
people.
heard from an Ernst & Young person.
Yeah.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
You can see on the stage, you can see if you go look at the footage, you can see Emma Stone starting to look around because they're taking the Oscars away from them. And they're like, what is going on? Before they really understand. That is a crazy moment to have.
Of all the awards too, like
Best Picture.
Like,
it's not like sound mixing.
That one up?
It's the biggest one.
No, we shouldn't discredit sound mixing.
No, sound mixing is amazing.
It's like, how do you mix up your big finale of your show?
Oh,
it's just
unbelievable.
I mean, that really was a mind blow. Can we watch our reaction again? I just want to see it.
Give it to us one more time, Jonathan.
Like, look at this. Why do you?
Jay Washington.
You don't get
Spencer hands up. Dan is dead.
This is genuine
Dan
shock,
is
people.
dying.
We had no. Keep going. Yeah, or is that the end? I think Hallie gets up. There we go. Look at it. We cannot get over this.
How
depressing as it is, like amazing television. Genuine shock
that was
across
crazy.
the board.
Yeah,
It's crazy, and I
That
don't
was
think
so
you see
nuts.
there. Hal
Jumps up. Right.
He
the
threw
Cheetos
the
and is
Cheetos.
running around the room like a maniac.
Well, because
that's the world's reaction right now.
So here's the thing. You were saying before we talked about this, we felt so bad for the producers, but he's like, he's going to produce something else and he'll win another Oscar.
And he'll have the joke later on. I'm calling it now.
Oh, yeah.
Did we check the envelope this time? Is it real?
Totally. And I mean, Damien Chazelle won Best Director. Like, there's plenty of things for them to still celebrate. I believe that we have just seen the most memorable thing that we will ever see at the Oscars.
Oh, I agree. I don't know how you top that one.
This moment, and you don't want to, right?
Right. Well, not
like,
with,
God forbid they start to manufacture it. But this will go everywhere. This will be, and I don't think it'll affect the ratings of the show, obviously, because it was at the very end. So it was obviously not shenanigans to get higher ratings, unless they think it'll take effect next year.
No one does this.
It was a mess up.
Anyone saying, oh, there's a conspiracy theory to do this on purpose?
No.
That's insane.
It makes them look terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it offers too many questions. Like, this was not thought out. And if you're going to do it fake, I feel like you do it another way. No way that was fake. That was a legitimate F up. That's a legitimate biggest mess up in Oscar history. And I don't know how they're going to beat that ever. Hopefully they don't, because they shouldn't do that. That's not fair to the winners. It's awful to put them through that.
So just kidding, suckers. What a horrible moment.
Horrible.
You know what's
of all
crazy?
things, that's what Kimmel does. All this is sort of his
But
shtick.
Kimmel did such a beautiful job handling it. I thought that he kept it convivial. He really moved it along.
He
took
Steve Harvey.
responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was my first thought, because Steve Harvey came out looking like he was, oh, well, sorry. He did not handle it with the kind of grace that either the producers did or Jimmy Kimmel did.
Yeah.
I thought Jimmy Kimmel was the perfect host in that moment.
He was a great host throughout the night, but they were so lucky that they had him in that moment.
And not James Franco or Anne Hathaway.
Versus some previous hosts who I don't think would have handled it that well.
No.
Do we feel a little bit bad because other people won tonight, other things happen at the Oscars? Do we feel like there will be no
this was television
conversation?
history. You gotta enjoy the history moment, because that was great. That was
awesome.
That was a great TV moment. To have that happen live is just crazy to watch. To see Hal jumping out of his couch.
jumping up, which I think now we have to look at.
Let's go.
To see that happen.
Throwing the Cheetos.
Who doesn't want to see that?
Hand off. There you go. What? I'm leaving. I can't even handle it. You almost threw your computer, Andy. I disconnected my earphones. Like, everything fell apart.
It's chaos.
Literally, Dan doesn't understand what to do. Joe Starr has never been happier in his life.
I don't know if you guys. I hope you guys can hear. I don't know if you can. But yeah, it's just that was crazy. That's
insane.
That's a moment. Of course, we're going to talk about that and not the other awards, because who cares? They're awards.
But this is crazy.
They're just awards.
It's been 89.
Boo-hoo, you didn't win an award, La La Land. Aww.
You only won Best Director, Best
Someone died.
Actress.
This is just a
No. And it's also nice that, like, lots of things won. We saw,
they spread it out.
They did.
there was a beautiful way of going across
got a lot of awards.
We had a Syrian film win an award. We had an Iranian film win an award. We had some beautiful
and the
political
Academy
statements.
now owes those producers of La La Land.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, what's
big
crazy?
time.
Like, we did have some beautiful, amazing wins tonight, but you would have thought the headline would have been Suicide Squad Oscar winner. But no,
Oscar
they
winning
managed to
Suicide
top
Squad.
that. That would be the thing.
We literally, that's going to be the biggest tarnished.
No one will remember. No one's going to remember
this.
this.
Footnote Oscars was Suicide Squad winning an Oscar, but now they completely took it to
what
a new level.
could possibly? This is Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
This is what
Oh, it's
could
bigger than that.
ever. What will?
Oh, that was pretty big.
I mean, it literally, unless like James Dean was resurrected and rode like a stallion bareback across the stage, I don't know what you could ever do.
And it was written like a show. Like it was the two movies that have been against each other.
Oh, yeah.
And then it wasn't like they gave it to Hacksaw Ridge or something completely out of the
Yeah.
ring. They gave it to the one everyone thought great, yay, and then suddenly
the one that
the underdog
actually-
that no one thought had a shot was
Little
like
one that
screw you.
could.
Psh. That's a
That is
brilliant narrative.
beautiful.
And it was beautiful for Moonlight to be able to sort of say sorry, no, we did get this
I
one.
feel like
Great
Sam
loved it.
Esmail like wrote this and
Yeah.
we didn't know about it.
I feel for those people. I feel for the La La Land producers.
They'll
But
be
man, this
fine.
was an amazing moment in television history.
It
to
was.
witness.
That
Glad
was
we got to see
unbelievable.
it. Yes!
Yes, and I'm glad we were here together to do it.
Yay!
You guys, how do you feel? Did you feel like this was the greatest thing you'll ever see? Was this the most mind-blowing Oscar moment that you know of? Let us know in the comments below. Tweet at us at SJ News. You can always tweet Andy. Where can the people find
Andy
you?
Signor. Oh, and we shouldn't forget, M. Night Shyamalan did tweet at the end that he did write this
Oh.
and that he's working with Jimmy Kimmel. Kudos to M.
You're
Night.
right.
He's on a roll.
Yes.
So follow M. Night Shyamalan too. Roth, where can the people find you?
At Roth Cornett and here on SJ News.
That's right. And I'm Sasha Pearl Raver
And
at
check out the
Sasha Pearl
Grouchies on
Raver.
Screen Junkies main channel.
See
Yay.
the Grouchies and let us know. Tweet at us, comment, and we will see you again soon for more Screen Junkies news. Happy Oscars, guys.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, T-Mobile. T-Mobile One is all unlimited, all in. Switch today.